Well, Governor Joe Lombardo made a strong statement about the state of workforce development efforts during his State of the State address, saying, quote, "Right now we are wasting money, but more importantly, we are wasting time in getting all Nevadans the job opportunities they deserve," end quote. He then went on to outline his plan to create an Office of Workforce. So where do our efforts to develop a workforce for a changing Nevada economy stand? Joining us to talk about it are Stacy Boswick, Director of Workforce Development for the Governor's Office of Economic Development, GOED, and Bill Arendt, Chief Business Development Officer for the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. Both of you have a wealth of knowledge and information. Let's talk a little bit about, before we start, your department and what you do.
Sure. I'm the Director of Workforce Development for GOED, much easier to say,
yes.
And I've been there for 5 years. And I think I have the best job at GOED because I live at the intersection of workforce and economic development, bringing both the employers and the employees together.
And LVGEA, you guys work closely together. Let's talk about your experience as well. You've only been there for a few months, but you've been with the city of Las Vegas for many, many years.
Yes, thank you. Really glad to be on the show today. Working with new employers that are looking at Las Vegas and coming into the market, one of the first questions they have is, where am I going to find my workers? Where am I going to have access to talent? How much is there? What am I going to have to pay them? What about turnover? So working with folks like Stacy at GOED is really important as we're starting to work with new employers that are first looking at coming into the market.
And let's talk about, we mentioned the governor and his plan to he wants to create an Office of Workforce. During his campaign, this was also something that was big. He did mention this. He said it's become increasingly clear that we need to diversify our economy from just gaming and tourism. Nevada's two historically dominant economic sectors, we know that, like Northern Nevada did with the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center. It's time for the rest of the state to look at new industries like manufacturing and technologies. In order to bring new industries to the state, Nevada needs a skilled and trained workforce. So what needs to be done so we do have that skilled and trained workforce? Stacy, you want to start?
Sure. The governor has been a strong proponent of economic development, and I think the word that we like to use in our office a lot is resilience. And providing people the opportunity to have consistency, when we go through economic downturns, and our emerging industries and growing that so we have parity across industry is an important piece of that.
And I just mentioned Northern Nevada. When we were preparing for this segment, you also mentioned there's a lot of activity going up in Northern Nevada. What's going on up there?
Well, lots of great things. I think one thing I always like to talk about is when employers work together with education institutions, right? And so we talk about how does that really affect workforce development. A great example of a partnership is with Panasonic and Truckee Meadows Community College. Panasonic is building a new kind of headquarters on Plum Lane, and they're dedicating a piece of that space for Truckee Meadows to come in and provide training to the community. So those kinds of things are really innovative and great for employees and employers in the Valley.
And Bill, let's talk about this because he did mention again that we need to diversify our economy more than just gaming and tourism. I feel that's already being done. You're the expert on this. What's going on here in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada?
It's being done, but we need to do more of it. So we're focused on a lot of industries to expand upon our core industry of gaming and hospitality. That will always be our core industry, but how do we diversify and expand? So we're focused on advanced manufacturing, we're focused on clean tech, we're focused on fintech and corporate headquarters. And as an example, feeding off of what Stacy said, our university partners, our higher education partners are listening. We were talking with President Whitfield of UNLV, who is on our board of directors, about this graduating class this upcoming year. And I think it would surprise people to know that UNLV is forecast to graduate almost the same number of graduates from their engineering school as the College of Hospitality for the 4-year undergraduate degrees. So today's UNLV is very different than UNLV from 5 years ago, and I think you can say that across all of higher education in Nevada.
And let's talk about how you are working with the other institutions, higher ed institutions here in Southern Nevada as well.
Absolutely. One of the best resources we have within GOED is a tool that we call the WIN Fund. And that's a really neat opportunity for us to bring employers and educators together and for them to kind of say, we want to scale up a program, right? We need this. We have employers saying we need advanced manufacturing training programs in 2 years and 4 years, College of Southern Nevada, UNLV, Nevada State, who that might be. And we're able to actually provide funding and resources for them to do that.
And let's talk a little bit about what else is going on here in Southern Nevada. I know you have some companies coming in, you have partners that you bring in. I was on your social media yesterday, you were talking about some of your new investors. What's going on over at LVGEA?
Yeah, I'll give you an example of a recent employer we recruited to Las Vegas. CAE is an aviation training program. They opened up just within the past year and a half to 2 years. They have a training program for business aviation pilots. And when they're up and running at full speed, they'll be able to train 2,500 pilots annually. And that's one of the things we're looking at and focused on is how do we learn and know about all of the workforce training programs throughout our community, not just the ones that are receiving public funding, but the private funding. We have a lot of wonderful training programs that are really national models here in Las Vegas.
Let's talk about some of the positive aspects of bringing your business here to Las Vegas and Southern Nevada, Nevada in general, and then also some of the challenges that you see our state facing right now. Stacy?
I'll take a stab at that first. One challenge is also an opportunity. Our unemployment rate is one of the highest, I believe the highest in the nation for a major metropolitan area. But there are two sides of that coin. Even though there are a lot of folks in our community struggling, when we talk to a company and we look at our available workforce and labor supply and how easy it is to staff these new positions, whether it be advanced manufacturing, whether it be in financial services or other companies, they actually have a bigger labor pool here than other markets our size. So that coin kind of flips both ways. It could be an advantage because there are national labor shortages everywhere. It can be easier to hire here and find skilled workers here that are really hungry and want to do good work.
And I know that in speaking with Deborah Solt with PBS here, and she mentioned it is about keeping our brightest here in Southern Nevada and making sure that they do stay there here with programs like the ones that we offer here at Vegas PBS. And what are we doing to make sure that we do continue to retain those workers here in Southern Nevada?
So I think one of the things that we're working on at GoEd, and I like to think about it as availability and capacity. And so do we have the programs available to align with the jobs? And it's like a 1+1, situation because, if we're producing engineers to Bill's point, but we don't have companies for them to land here, that talent has no choice but to leave the state. And so it really is aligning the resources and making sure we have programs available for the jobs that are here. And so we're looking a lot at manufacturing and logistics. We're doing a deep dive, right? And one of the things that we find is we have big gaps in the infrastructure. We have a lot of really great programs, but we don't have that overarching kind of system to connect all those pieces. And there's still work that needs to be done to fill in those gaps.
And let's talk about the impact the pandemic had on our workforce.
Yeah, that's another place where I would say resilience was such a big piece of it. And one of the tools or systems that we worked on at GoEd was a platform that we called Skills Match for that. Because one of the things that we recognized is that we have this amazing workforce, but workforce development is dynamic, right? We're not a job title, we're a person with a set of skills, and those skills can be used in different places. And so I think for a lot of folks who worked in the same industry or same job for so long, it was hard to break out of that idea of what else can I do? So if you focus on skills versus job title, how can I do that? And so the workforce area is evolving. I think that's one of the neatest things about workforce. We're moving around whether or not degrees matter, skills matter, experience matters, right? And so giving people the tools to say, I have all these things and look at all these doors that open up for me because I have these skills.
Now, you did mention unemployment. Any concerns with possible recession, the way the economy is right now?
Yeah, I think we're really focused on what's in front of us. We do talk to companies all the time. Right now, we're working with over 80 companies that are looking at relocating to Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. And so there is a slowdown in a lot of industry. Everyone reads the headlines. I read the headlines, layoffs at Google and a lot of big tech, layoffs in other industries. But there still is a lot of investment in what I would call emerging industries, battery manufacturing, fintech, companies that are expanding, industries that are expanding, and how do we prepare ourselves for these jobs of the future, working with partners like Stacy at GoEd, Governor's Office of Workforce Innovation, really important so that we're lined up to capture some of this new business.
Now, you mentioned 80 different companies. That's a lot, and it's exciting to hear that. Are there some companies you're like, this will be great here in Las Vegas? All of them, but is there one that really just sticks out?
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges is we have to find those companies that are a good fit.
Yeah.
We're not for everyone. So we do have some constraints with the amount of land we have for business and industry, industrial lands. Water is an increasing challenge. We're spending more time than ever working with the Water Authority on trying to figure out responsible use of water, so we can accommodate high water users, but not if they're going to be consumptive water users where they use the water and then it is not returned to the source. So we're being more thoughtful about what companies are a good fit. But we're really excited for the future. A lot of different companies across all industry.
And let's talk about the future. You have a workforce summit with GoIn. Why is that so important? Let's talk about that. It's happening in the summer, right?
Yes, it's scheduled to happen in the summer. I think what's most important is everything leading up to the summit. So one of the things that we've been working on with GoIt and all our partners is trying to have an accurate inventory of all the public and private workforce training programs. Stacy mentioned the change of work and the nature of work, that some jobs require a four-year degree, some jobs require certificates or technical skills. How can we inventory all of those training programs across our community? We have some of the largest training programs in the nation. The Carpenters Union has a facility that trains workers from across the country. They have 2 hotels just to serve this training facility. There are countless number of stories that we hear about these large training schools training not just Las Vegans, but people on a regional basis. How can we leverage that to make sure, 1, the community knows about it, and 2, we can work with business and industry to connect those workers to new employers as they're coming into the market.
And I do need to ask you both, because I think it's also important. Nevada legislature happening right now. Any bills that you're really keeping a close eye on right now?
I'm not paying attention so much to the bills as I am following the money. And I think this session is showing just a large increased investment, and all the way from K-12 into post-secondary education. And those investments just reap so many rewards for workforce.
Bill?
Yeah, I would add, I'm less following the bills, but more working with the people, working very closely with GoEd, all our partners across the region. It's been a delight to work with Governor Lombardo and his administration. Our President and CEO, Tina Quigley, was on the governor's transition team for economic development. We're working very closely with the GoEd director, Tom Burns, and his whole team. So really, how do we collaborate and work together on solutions? There are a number of bills out there, but they're going to go through a lot of changes. So we want to really see kind of what the outcome of that is to know what we're working with.
And then real quick, Las Vegas Perspective also coming up. Real quick.
Yes,
talk to us about that.
coming up, it's a great event where we essentially go over everything that's happening in our regional economy. It's coming up and open to our investors and members, and it's going to be a great event.
Both of you, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for what you do.